Hey, what's up guys? And in this video we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 best weapons in Black Ops 4. I've been playing countless hours of the game, and I've trawled through so many Twitter posts and Reddits to find you the general consensus for the very best weapons in the game. Let's not waste any time and get straight into it. Coming in at number 5, we have the Vapor XKG. Now for me, this weapon is probably the most versatile on the list. It's strong all round across the board at all ranges. It holds its own close range against the SMGs, as well as not losing too much damage in the long range battles. The gun really is a jack of all trades in that sense, and a master of none. It doesn't excel at any particular category, but it's just a great all-round gun. The Vapor itself has a much faster fire rate than the majority of its counterparts, such as the ICR. In the rifle category, it's second to only the Maddox in terms of fire rate. This fast fire rate complements its tight spray pattern and moderately low recoil very well. As a result, it will allow you to pick off targets at range with a reliable consistency, as well as beating out most SMGs close range, with the exception of the SORG 9mm. Now, for the attachments on this gun, you definitely want to be using rapid fire and long barrel at least. Long barrel is essential because at range, the gun really starts to struggle against other rifles, and rapid fire for obvious reasons. I find the area that mainly lets this gun down is definitely the attachments, because most of the other weapons you're going to see on this list will have access to grip 1 and grip 2, which are essential to reduce the recoil of the gun and get that pinpoint accuracy that you're looking for, as well as the flinch reduction for when you get hit, giving you that early advantage in the duels. Overall, to summarise, I can definitely see why this gun would be a favourite among a lot of players, especially in public games. But going forward into more competitive matches, for example, realistically it's going to lose out in any long range encounters versus an ICR, or any close range battles versus a SORG. So it's mainly for that reason why I have it at my rank number 5. Now, coming in at number 4, we have the GKS. Now, I'm going to have to give you a small caveat with this one, because now, at the moment, the gun's currently bugged and applying long barrel 1 and 2, irrespective of whether you have it attached or not. So I will be rating the gun off those values of the bug, but when it gets patched I expect it to drop off this list completely and probably the face of the earth, because realistically it has no right to be here, but because of that bug it's artificially enhancing the gun to the point where it's one of the best in the game. Anyway, now we've got that out of the way, let's get into the gun. The gun is quick and agile with a reasonably fast fire rate, although it doesn't necessarily have the best damage per bullet. This is compensated for with the ability to attach grip 1 and grip 2, which will nullify any variance in the recoil and make the gun like a laser beam. There will be no sway or variance either side when you shoot. This makes up for the lack of damage with each initial bullet, simply because you're constantly hitting them repeatedly and connecting with every single shot. Now typically this gun would be losing out to the rifles every single time, but because of the bug with long barrel, it can now compete and in some cases even outperform them. The attachments you ideally want to be running with this are quick draw, grip 1 and grip 2, and then you're obviously going to get the 2 bonuses of long barrel because of the bug, which will make it a 5 attachment weapon despite only using 3 slots. Now, moving on to number 3, we have the Maddox. This, despite being a rifle, is for all intents and purposes the SMG we deserved. It can win out against any other weapon in close range. The only gun that might cause you a bit of trouble at extremely close range though is the SORG. Other than that, none of the others stand a chance. It has a ludicrously fast fire rate and hits really hard, whilst still maintaining the ability to transition into the medium and long ranges without losing too much of its accuracy. I can definitely see this gun becoming the go-to pick for most SMG players throughout competitive play, especially because of the weaker state SMGs are in at the moment across the board. The reason I have the Maddox at number 3, higher than something like the Vapor, is because although the Vapor is a more rounded gun, the Maddox displays exemplary performance in close quarters combat, and it's because its ability to excel in one particular field and beat out all the others that puts it at number 3 on my list. Now, moving on to attachments. I personally really like quick draw 1 and 2, although on the Maddox in particular I don't think the attachments are that important, because none of them really stand out. I would say a lot of it really depends on the game mode that you're playing. For example, I would take fast mags for team deathmatch, but I'd drop it in search and destroy. And I wouldn't say stock is too essential, but it is nice to have nonetheless. Now, coming in at number 2, we have the SORG 9mm, the last bastion of hope for any SMG player. This gun is completely grotesque at close range. It fires incredibly fast, much like the Maddox, and I find it hits just so hard that it shreds people like they were paper. The gun isn't necessarily the most accurate, and you'd expect it to sort of fall off at mid-range, but even at mid-range it still takes targets down, just because of the sheer amount of firepower coming out. And if you're looking for some really unadulterated carnage, you can dual wield these monstrosities to devastating effect. What really separates the SORG 9mm from something like the Maddox is the bonus movement speed you get while using an SMG. You get this movement speed while you're strafing side to side while zoomed in, as well as while you're running. So this allows you to be very volatile during a gunfight, swaying side to side and avoiding enemy shots, while delivering devastating amounts of damage yourself. This gun is definitely, unequivocally the best SMG in the game, and probably one of the best guns in the game, hence its number 2 placing on this list. Now, getting into the logistics of the weapon, when you're not dual wielding them and siphoning your opponent's soul, the attachments you typically want to go with are quick draw and grip. These two are essential to the gun, and the rest is very situational depending on the game mode you're playing and your playstyle. I like to run dead silence with stock 1 and 2 in S&D, for example, because stock 2 emulates dexterity, giving you the jumping accuracy, and with a gun like this you typically want to always be jumping around corners and through doorways and spraying people, so it's a really great attachment to have. Okay guys, it's time for the number 1 spot. As most of you could have probably guessed it, it's the ICR-7. Unequivocally, unparalleled, undisputedly, the best gun in the game. This is obnoxiously overpowered, disproportionately so that it's an embarrassment to all the other guns. It has unrivaled accuracy, and is dominant in every single aspect of the game. This gun is an absolute monster at long and medium range, and even holds its own at close. It's everything you could ever want in a gun. It couples a moderate fire rate with hard hitting rounds and this pinpoint precision to create a situation where you're simply just lasering people across the map. You can engage any weapon at range, even snipers, and expect to come out on top. So provided that you aim well, you will come out on top of every single long to medium range engagement, and surprisingly, even most close range engagements, just because the gun is so strong. Of course, it does fall short in the close range engagements versus guns like a Maddox or a SORG, but other than that, the majority you stand a pretty good chance against. I expect in the near future, when more BO4 tournaments get played, this gun's going to quickly become a prominent staple in the professional scene, and if not the gold standard for which every player will be using. Now, jumping into the attachments, Grip 1 and Grip 2, coupled with Quick Draw, are essential on this weapon to bring out its full potential. Provided you have these three, I've also seen a few of the optic guys opt to run long barrel as well on top of that, dropping 2 of their perks for it, just so they can stack the gun even further, because it is really that ridiculously good. Anyway guys, there you have it, that's my top 5. Let me know down below what your favourite gun is, and if it wasn't on the list, let me know why it should be. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.